Well, Brett, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. Very much appreciated. I know you've been busy out here today. How has it been back being here for Alumni Sunday and being at Truist Park?
Well, it's always nice to come back. I mean, the Braves were the team that gave me the first chance to play. And so they're always going to have a special place in my heart. And, you know, playing in Fulton County Stadium and now looking at this place, wow, this is amazing. But it's always nice to come back, see some old faces, catch up with some people, and it's a lot of fun.
So I wanted to start from the very beginning with you. You were born in L.A., right? Okay. Yeah. Did you grow up there? Did you move to Illinois at some point? How did...
Well, I was born in the Good Samaritan Hospital in downtown L.A., but I lived up in Fremont, up near San Francisco, as a child. Grew up in the Bay Area.
Were you a Giants fan, Athletics fan?
I was a Willie Mays fan.
Willie Mays fan.
Willie was my favorite, but I couldn't hit home runs like Willie, so I wanted to play like Pete Rose, and kind of that's where it went. And so we were there, and then 1970 we moved to Chicago. My dad's business took us there, and I was there, and from there, then I walked on at Arizona State, and then went to a small school in Oklahoma called Southeastern.
Yeah, that's a NAIA school, right? Okay.
Yeah, where they talk about chicken fried steak and fishing, and I was a city boy, you know. And anyway, I know the Lord kind of took me there, and I got drafted in the 23rd round by the Atlanta Braves, and that was it.
When you were growing up playing, before you went to college to play ball, when did it become apparent to you that you felt like you were good enough to play college or possibly professional ball at some point?
It was always there. When I was in first grade, and they asked me to write an autobiography, and well, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said I want to be a Major League Baseball player. And my father, when I was young, gave me this advice I'll never forget, and I tell this to all the youth when I talk to them, is if you have a dream or a desire or a goal to do something, don't let anybody tell you can't do it. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. Go out there and do the best you can. If you make it, you can be satisfied. If you're not, you can be content because you did everything. Don't have a regret. So I was always the first one on the field. I was always the last one off. I used to have guys get mad at me because, hey, you're showing us up. I'm like, guys, I'm trying to get to the big leagues where guys would go out, you know, and chase the girls or drink or whatever. I'm like, no, I want to play ball, and I'm not going to have a regret. And so that's what I did.
What was the experience like? And you referenced it a little bit there, but at Southeastern Oklahoma State, what was that? What was it like playing college ball there?
Well, it was different than what I imagined. When I graduated high school, my father said, "Where do you want to go to school?" We came from a middle-low-income family, and I said, "I'll be back." We got the newspaper, opened it up, and the best school in the nation in 1975-76 was Arizona State. I said, "Dad, I want to walk on there. If I can play there, I can play anywhere." And my dad was a psychology major, and he's like, "Well, you probably had to have something to fall back on." I'm like, "Listen, I'm going there." And so I walked on, and we had 209 walk-ons. They kept 8 of us on the junior varsity.
Wow.
And I was there and hit 340 and went in and said, "Hey, I need a scholarship." And they said, "We can't do anything as a sophomore, maybe as a junior." And I mean, if I'm not mistaken, on that team that year, out of the 25 guys on the Arizona State roster, I think 23 of them played in the big leagues.
Holy cow. And
so, and I don't know why, it just, I can remember who they were. It was, you know, Chris Bandlecott, Kenny Phelps played first, Ricky Peters played second, Horner played short, Chris Nyman played third, Bobby Pate played left, Kenny Landry was in center, Mike Colburn, and then they had Floyd Bannister and Derek Jackson. I mean, those were the guys on that team. And they lost to Arizona that year, but again, I was focused, and I came back, and I wanted to play, and I grew up in Libertyville, Illinois, which is north in Chicago, about an hour south of Milwaukee. And this guy says, "Hey, we got a summer team called the Dill Brothers. Can you come and play?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I want to play." And I went there, and because I had a great summer, a guy that played in the league played at Southeastern. Goes, "Hey, I think I can get you a scholarship to Southeastern Oklahoma." And I went down there, and I remember walking in and thinking, "No, man, I'm going back to Arizona State." And I went home, and born again Christian, and I remember trying to go to bed that night, and I couldn't sleep. There's a reason. I got up, walked in the kitchen, opened up the refrigerator, and my mom was standing there in the dark. She goes, "The Lord woke me up. You got to go to Southeastern, don't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, Mom."
Wow.
I got to go. And I went down there and was a 2-time All-American second team, not even first team. And I got drafted in the first round. I got drafted in the 23rd round for $1,000 as a favor to my coach, and 2 years and 2 months later, I was in the big league.
No, Ken, as a favor to your coach.
Yeah, he had known the bird dog for 25 years, and my coach says, just get him in the door. Just let him get his feet in the door. You don't got to give him any money. And when he went to give me the money, I said, I need more. And he went to walk out. I'm like, no, never mind. It was $1,000, and that was it.
And you were in the big leagues how soon after that?
2 years and 2
2
months.
years.
I was in rookie ball, Bradenton, Florida. Went in Pirate City, I was there, and then went to Anderson, and then the next year or Greenwood, and then the next year they changed it. Anderson was low A ball, Greenwood was double A, and and then Richmond, and so that's where I was, and I ended up in A ball, and then I went to instructional ball, and I think this is where the break came. I went there, and. In 4 days, I got 12 hits, and Bobby was there, and 8 of them were bunts, and I knew he was looking for a leadoff guy, and so they invited me to big league camp, and I was the last guy cut in big league camp from A-ball, and he goes, I want to keep you, they won't let me, and I'm like, fine, where am I going? He goes, well, you're skipping double A, and I'm sending you to Richmond, and he goes, you go down there and do that, you'll be here in 2 months and 2 years, and I remember walking out of his office. I said, Lord, I gave you my life, and I know you have a plan for it greater than I could ever have, and I went down there about the 4th day down there, I saw this little fox, and it was enough to make a train take a dirt road, and I said, I believe the Lord sent me here for you to be my wife, and that was 42 years ago.
Oh, that's amazing.
So we got married, and then August 20th, I got called the big leagues. Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
What was that like, getting that call to hear that you're going to the big leagues?
Well, I had slid into second base the night before, hurt my ankle, and I'm like, and I'm jumping around on the bed going, oh man, I'm wondering, and I couldn't believe it. And I remember getting there, and they sent me upstairs to sign my contract, and Bobby called and said, get him downstairs, he's in the lineup, and here I am. I've got, I'm in left, and Murph is right there, and Claudell's right there, and Horner's, and I'm like, couldn't believe it. And I was telling the guys earlier that I got in the box, and I had 2 thoughts. First was, Lord, don't let me wet my pants, and secondly, let me hit the ball. We were playing the Mets, and Dan Boitano was pitching. I hit a ground ball to second base. Doug Flynn fumbled the ball, and I beat it out, and then I ended up getting a double in the 7th inning, and scored, and the game was over, and we won. And I remember sitting in the clubhouse, and excuse me, everybody left, and I remember walking back to my hotel room, was just up the street from Fulton County Stadium, and I got in my room, I sat on the bed, and I started crying.
Oh, man.
I'm like, you know what, Lauren, I did everything I could to get to this, to realize that it's not lasting. I mean, everybody was gone, and I walked back here, and I'm by myself, and it made me realize that the most important thing in my life was my relationship with God, and then my family and my friends, and it's been that way ever since.
Oh, that's incredible. What was the, I know for longtime Braves fans, the 1982 team is a pretty special team, and even though it happened a little bit before I was born, I still love looking back on that team, reading about that team, watching clips of that team. How special was that team to be a part of?
Well, it was just amazing. Everything just seemed to go our way, and I remember in the 13th game, 12 was the record, 13, and I remember that there was guys on first and second, and I hit a ball up the middle that probably could have been a double play ball, but Matt Sinatra was the runner. It was just left in the shortstop, and it hit Matt in the foot. And so he was out, and I was awarded first base, and then I ended up getting on second. We scored a run to tie it, and then I got on second base, and Claudio Washington hit a ball up the middle, and I slid in, dove in, and Bob Horner slapped me high five, and that was 13, and that was 13 in a row.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. I just love watching any clips of that team are just so cool. So we're getting really excited, and we're really pumped about hosting the All-Star game here next year. So I know you were an All-Star 91, I believe. What was that like? What was your All-Star experience like?
Well, it was like a little kid in a candy store. I mean, first you want to get to the big leagues, and now you get a chance to play in the All-Star game with all these other people, and just to be in the atmosphere with them. I only had one. I played 17 years in the big leagues, only one, but I'll never forget it. And I remember when Lasorda called me up, and he said, Lou Piniella picked you to be on the All-Star team. And I started crying. I'm like, man, finally reached the pinnacle of what I was trying to do, and so I remember going there, and I ended up, I think, taking Tony Gwynn's spot in the outfield. And it was funny because I made the last out in the All-Star game. Eckersley was pitching, threw me a little sinker, and I hit it hard up the middle, and he picked me and threw me out. And then in 1989, I'm the last hitter, and he throws me a sinker. I hit it up the middle, he snags it, throws me out. And I'm like, 2 times the All-Star game, and the end of the World Series, the same thing with the same guy. So it was kind of funny.
Oh, goodness. Baseball's a funny game like that.
Yeah.
So have an incredible playing career, almost 2,400 hits, which is just so amazing just in of itself. That's not even getting into all the other numbers, but I see that number, and that's incredible to me. So you have an incredible playing career, and then you make the transition into coaching and managing. What was that like for you, going from player and then coaching, managing, particularly in the minor leagues for a stretch? What was that like for you?
Well, as a player, baseball was easy and fun. Then I got cancer, and that was hard. And you can hear the raspy voice a little bit. It got tough the last year or so. It was hard on the family, but then when I got out, I was out for 5 years. And I'm sitting at the breakfast table with my wife, and she says, "Hey, you have my permission." I'm like, "Huh? Well, if you want to get back to, want to get back in, and try to manage this, and you don't know what you're saying, because if I get back in, I'm going back to rookie ball. I'm going to manage because I want to manage the big leagues." So I remember calling up Fred Wilpon, who was the manager of the Mets, and I said, "I'd like to manage a rookie ball club," and he let me. And then Bob Melvin became the manager in Arizona and let me be his first base coach. And then I went to the minor leagues after that, and I managed A-ball, Double-A, and then I had a stroke on the field in Double-A. It was from the scar tissue of my surgery, but I was okay. But I was out for a while, so I roved a year, and then 2009, they moved the team from Tucson to Reno, Nevada, and I was the inaugural manager, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We won it all in 2012, and then I was a third base coach in Miami with the mindset that if I had an opportunity, they'd let me manage, and they fired the manager, and the general manager came down and decided that he thought he could manage, and I'm like, well, all right, Lord, it's time for me to get out. And so 15 was my last year, and I walked away, and now I'm doing a little bit of consulting with the Reds a little bit. I did a little bit with Texas one spring, a little bit with San Diego, working with their bunters, but the Reds are trying to get back to small ball a little bit, J.D. Friel and some of the other guys, and they're buying into it. And so I've kind of worked with them, and it's nice to see them start to do some positive things.
They've got some speed over there too, some exciting young speed. Yeah, that's cool. Well, last question. You referenced this, and I since you brought it up, I did want to ask. I remember when you had cancer, and I don't know if anybody thought you would ever play in the big leagues again, and you did. What was that like, making it back after that, after what I can only imagine was just a traumatic experience?
Well, I remember when I came out of the surgery, because I thought I had tonsillitis. I thought they were just taking out my tonsil, and when they woke me up, they told me I had cancer. And so I remember saying to the doctor, "All right, doc, put a number on it, 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000. He said, "Brett, it would probably be 1 in 5,000 that you'd ever get back." And I said, "Well, Doc, it was 1 in 10,000. I didn't even play in the big leagues, and so if God wants me to play again, I'll walk back on the field again this year." And that was May 2nd, when I had the surgery, and in October I walked back on the field to a standing ovation in Dodger Stadium, to a credit of a powerful God that allowed me the privilege to come back and play the game I love.
Oh, that's amazing. And I couldn't think of a better place to end it right there. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and for sharing your career and life experiences with us. We very much appreciate it.
Thanks, Rick.